I've long been a silent observer of many different gaming franchises' drama over the years, and although I typically only make Fallout content, this recent disaster, which I somehow in a very strange way have a very microscopic amount of involvement in, as I have recently discovered, has piqued my interest enough to talk about. As we all know, the Borderlands movie was a complete and utter disaster. It had a budget of over $110 million to produce and only brought in a measly $17.9 million. All of the money that the games brought in went to a movie that was doomed from the start, which completely reimagined the games rather than doing something good, along the lines of the Fallout TV show, where that simply built upon the established lore and gave us a new story in the world of the game's universe rather than trying to completely retell it. All of that money was wasted instead of being put back into the series to strengthen the franchise. We aren't gonna bother talking about the details of the movie in this video, or even the cast, which, yes, are all incredible actors, but overall were casted completely wrong and were simply used by Randy Pitchford, CEO of Gearbox, as bragging rights to say he worked with such massive names in the industry. But speaking of Randy, let's get into the actual point of this video. And I just want to say, it's not the thing that everyone's been hearing about already, but let's start off with that. So, due to the failure of the movie and the backlash from the entire community, even the ones who praised the franchise no matter what, Randy seemingly went on a spree of blocking every single human being on planet Earth who had any issue with the movie. But who else decided to do this? Well, Epic NNG, that's who. The final boss of all shills, Epic NNG praised this movie up and down, without ever really giving us a true reason as to why he enjoyed it. Most of his video was spent discussing the things he didn't like, but yet he liked the movie and couldn't really explain why. Fair enough, fair enough. Now, I can only assume Epic NNG went on a blocking spree of his own at some point, as I've never followed this guy or interacted with him ever in my life, but I did leave a response tweet to Randy expressing my frustrations with the movie. Come to find out that I'm blocked by Epic NNG. For some reason. Like, that's gotta be the weirdest and most petty thing you could ever possibly do. You just went on a blocking spree just like Randy because other people didn't have the same opinion as you, and most people agreed that the movie wasn't great, but just because you also expressed that same opinion that it wasn't great, but still tried your hardest in your video to latch onto something and say, I love it though, I like it, Randy, please let me gargle you a little harder, you still had to go and show your loyalty by blocking anyone who had any type of negative response, I guess? And although I'm sure it seems like I'm hurt over it, I'm simply using this as a talking point to show how pathetic things have gotten in this once great community that I've followed on YouTube ever since the legendary Yodi Slaya had the franchise in an iron grip way back in the prime days of Borderlands 2. Nowadays, all we see is drama between creators and frustrations towards all of the recent games due to Gearbox failing to make right by the fans time after time. And yet again with this movie. Speaking of drama between creators and the recently mentioned Epic NNG, if you search the guy's name on YouTube, the first results that pop up are related to people he's feuded with in the past. But either way, I actually genuinely have no hate for anybody in this community, not even Epic. And obviously the guy has no clue at all who I am, but it's just wild that he clearly went on a blocking spree like Randy did, when even in his own video he made a point to get upset over being blocked by Randy in the first place and then literally went on to follow in the dude's footsteps. I'm not gonna sit here and critique any type of content that he or frankly anybody in the Borderlands community puts out, because they all do a good job at what they do. It's just such a shame to see how bad things are getting in the looter shooter community. We have the disaster of Borderlands, the downfall of Destiny and Bungie overall currently unfolding. Even a game like Escape from Tarkov, another community that I've followed for a while, just isn't the same anymore due to the overwhelming amount of cheating that had turned myself and so many others either away from the game entirely or pushed the rest into only wanting to play the relatively new PvE mode. Either nobody will see this video or a bunch will and I'll get hate for it, so it is what it is, but as a fan and a silent silent observer of these once great gaming communities, I just felt like I should come on here and voice my opinion and maybe even see if anyone else kind of feels the same way as I do. I really wish things would get better for these people. I really wish everybody would get along, like the good old days where people would collab and just things were fun. I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same anymore. And I'm kind of mainly referring to Borderlands when I say this, because I don't really think there's really any, I mean, to my knowledge, like any fighting in the Destiny community, to my knowledge, once again, or in the Tarkov community or anything. But in the Borderlands community, I've noticed it over the years, and so many creators that I love just have beef with each other. And I know that I kind of like involved myself in something that, once again, no one's going to see this video probably, and the people that are going to watch this are probably people that are subscribed to me already that have no idea what's going on, and they're not even going to finish the video. But it's mainly people that I've watched for years that are beefing with other creators and even some that I don't watch, and it's just turning into a mess. We not only have infighting in the community, we have the, you know, games themselves that have been getting so much backlash due to, you know, people in the community not enjoying them for specific reasons. And then now we have this movie that had been in the works since, I've heard it's been like in development hell, let's say, since like 2015, and it just went through, I think, a bunch of different producers and directors, maybe. I don't know the full details on that, but I just heard it's just been doomed from the start, honestly. And all of the money that we have spent on these games as consumers, myself, you watching this video, if you enjoy Borderlands, we spent our money on all of these different copies of these games just for it to basically fund this movie that failed entirely, that didn't give the fans anything that they wanted, and mainly served the, I guess, directors of the movie and their own feelings and their own wants rather than what we wanted. And it's just a shame, because I feel like there is a world in an MCU alternate timeline that we're all in where, you know, everything worked out perfectly and literally all of us got what we wanted. Like the directors got their perfect story as well as the fans, and, you know, they all took suggestions from us, and they honestly could have made an incredible, listen, the Borderlands community, or the Borderlands games, have such great stories, especially like their side quests, not even the main story. Like there's so many great side quests in Borderlands that just tell really funny and interesting like stories and lore and whatnot, that they could have done so many different movies just based off of not specific side quests that we've seen in the games, but essentially like a story that doesn't even necessarily follow the main characters that we've seen already, and it would have worked out perfectly. You could have still went to iconic locations, you could have still even had like cameos from specific main characters from the games, but instead they decided to rewrite kind of the games in a way and like kind of make this movie take place in between Borderlands 1 and 2, and it didn't follow, and they said this from the start also, that it's not going to be canon or whatever, but it's just so weird, man. And I think everyone can agree with that. Even Epic NNG agreed with it too. So once again, this isn't hate towards the guy. I just found it weird that he went on a blocking spree, and you know, literally what I said to Randy in a tweet was the same thing I said in this video. Like, the guy clearly casted the wrong people, basically. Like, that's what I said, you know what I mean? Just for bragging rights. And if that was enough for him to get upset at me and block me as just a random fan, I make Fallout content, but it doesn't do good. I'm not a known person in the community at all, even in Fallout, right? Like, I'm an unknown creator. So even if I was making Borderlands content, I doubt that Epic NNG would even know who I am, right? So like, even then, I'm literally just some random guy on the internet, and for you to block me for just a random thing I said, it's just so strange, you know? I had heard his name before. I knew he was a content creator. I knew he was like on the, you know, bigger side in the community, and I saw someone like, you know, added him in regards to like something Borderlands. It just randomly popped up on my feed. So I was like, oh, let me check out his Twitter. Boom, I'm blocked. And I was like, okay, it just all correlates. Once again, I don't know for a fact. The only thing that I've interacted with in recent times with Borderlands was that Randy Pitchford tweet. So it had to have been that, man. So I don't really, you know, interact with Borderlands and stuff like that often, unless it's like liking or maybe retweeting something, but that's it, you know? And I don't know. It's just strange. It's very weird activity, and it's sad that like the community is kind of doing this to themselves and like fighting, and it just, I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird. But anyway, you know, I don't know. Once again, I'm an unknown creator that no one's going to watch this video. If he sees this and responds to it at all, it is what it is. But if there are any like actual fans of any of these gaming communities, like I said, I mentioned Destiny and also the Tarkov community. These are all like looter shooter type of games, and I clearly, obviously, only focused mainly on Borderlands with this, but if there are any like fans of these games that are silent observers that, you've watched from the sidelines and you've been fans of these games and, you wanted to see the games prosper and whatnot, like, what are your thoughts on just overall, just the drama that's been happening in all of these communities as of late? Because I'm going to be honest, it's really sad to see. It's honestly, genuinely really sad to see these great creators and all of these, obviously drama brings in numbers, you know what I mean? Like drama videos do the best. Same things with like things on the news, right? You see something on the news, a story about a guy finding $100 bill on the floor isn't going to do any type of good headlines as opposed to like a story of someone getting robbed for their $100 bill. That's more sensational and people like to hear about drama. That's all people like is negativity. So obviously drama within communities does great. And once again, I'm not saying that like I use Destiny and Tarkov as examples for like just the state of the games kind of going down. Once again, I don't really know if there's typical like really drama between those communities, between creators. But just mainly, I guess, towards like the player base versus the company, the game studio. That's more of what that type of drama is. But the Borderlands community, man, it's really sad because it's not only drama against the, from the fans, the community, against the game studio wanting and begging for the games to get better in various different aspects. It's not only that, but it's now we have the community for years now has been fighting each other. They've been fighting each other, and once again, I know headlines and videos, these drama does it does amazing. It really does do numbers, right? What are you going to do in the off time when we're going years in a drought, when there's no new games coming out, right? No new content. Trust me, as a guy in the Fallout community, yes, we just got the Fallout TV show, but Fallout isn't a game franchise where there's a new game every year like Call of Duty or something, and there's barely any new Fallout content coming out. You get a major drop from something, whether it be the game or the TV show, right, or a Fallout 76 update, but that's like its own sectioned off smaller community. We don't really get much, and then when we do, we cover it for a little while, at least myself. I don't know. Once again, I'm not a big creator. And then you just got to wait, right? And that's kind of the same with Borderlands, but man, it's sad. There's a lot of drama, and it's a shame. Once again, as a fan, it's a sad thing to see. And so for you, if you're watching this and you've listened to me ramble, what are your thoughts on just this disaster that's been unfolding, right? Like from the movie, the games as of recently, and just, I don't know. We see a lot of drama. That's what I've observed. As a silent observer, I see it a lot. And once again, it's not with everybody, but, it's a shame. So anyway, though, guys, that's it. And that's all I've got for you. So check out my other videos if you're interested in Fallout. And I've got more on the way. I'm working on another lore video regarding the Fallout TV show and some of the stuff involving some of the games. So check that out when it comes. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.